Hello, everybody. This is John Thomas Cruo, and today I'm going to be reading The Depths of Centralia. Now, Centralia is an actual place in Pennsylvania, but this story is based on a fictitious version of Centralia. Chapter 1. The edges of my salt and pepper hair prickled against the skin on my forehead, damp with mist that seemed to rise from the bowels of the earth itself. My lean frame, usually poised for discovery, was hunched in anticipation, a shadow amongst shadows in this god-forsaken place. Rufus, my stalwart German shepherd, whose age had etched deep into his golden fur and slowed his gait to a thoughtful amble, remained close at my side. His once vibrant eyes, now clouded by time, still held a spark of undying loyalty as he navigated the treacherous ground with a grace that belied his years. We stood amid the ruins of Centralia, Pennsylvania, a ghost town devoured by its own fiery entrails. Buildings, disjointed and teetering, bore witness to the relentless consumption below. Their skeletal remains reached out like hands of the damned, beseeching salvation where none could be found. Toxic smoke curled around us, a serpent sleeking through the remnants of civilization, its sulfuric breath a tangible reminder of nature's unforgiving power. I took a step forward, my boots crunching on the ashen soil, and breathed deeply through the filter of my gas mask, each inhalation a laborious draw against the stifling air. The mask clung to my face, a necessary barrier between life and slow suffocation. Rufus, equipped with his own protective gear, pressed his body against my leg, a silent reassurance that we were in this desolation together. "Quiet now," I murmured, more to myself than to him. "Every sound is a whisper of the past." The structures around us stood eerily preserved, their facade a grotesque mockery of their former selves. It was as if time itself had been ensnared by the subterranean inferno, leaving behind only these relics to ponder over their own demise. The sulphurous odor hung heavy, a noxious miasma that seemed to seep into every pore, a constant reminder of the peril that lurked beneath our feet. Rufus whined softly, his keen senses attuned to the hidden dangers that lay within the charnel landscape. His presence was both a comfort and a beacon, guiding me through the haze of unease that clung like cobwebs to my mind. We were an unlikely pair, explorer and companion, bowed by shared purpose to the unspoken knowledge that our fates were intertwined within these forsaken walls. "Steady," I told him, my voice a low rasp against the silence. "Our answers lie here, somewhere amidst the ashes and the echoes." And so we pressed on, two souls adrift in the heart of desolation, searching for truths that may never see the light of day. A sonorous clanging, as if it came from the depths of some ancient forge, pierced the oppressive silence. My heart clenched at the sound, a metallic symphony that reverberated through the air and into my very bones. It beckoned me, this clandestine chime from the bowels of the earth, igniting an insatiable curiosity within me to unearth its mysterious origins. Each resounding clang seemed like the heartbeat of Centralia, rhythmic and haunting, sending shivers down my spine and drawing me ever closer to its source. "Rufus," I whispered, my voice barely rising above the eerie tolling. The German shepherd's ears perked up, his worn body tense with alertness. He understood. Our journey had just begun to unfurl its hidden layers. With mutual, silent consent, we ventured towards the cacophony that disturbed the stillness of this ghostly expanse. The ruins around us whispered secrets in their decay, holding on to histories long forgotten by the living. Rufus moved with a slow deliberation, his snout skimming over the ground, tracing the scent of trails left behind by time itself. We reached what remained of the once grand edifice. Its facade crumbled, yet still bore the enigmatic carvings of a bygone era. My fingers traced the cold, intricate patterns, feeling for the slightest indentions that might offer a clue to the knowledge they guarded. "Look at these, Rufus," I murmured, my breath forming clouds in the chill air. "Symbols of power, or perhaps dire warnings." His old eyes met mine, reflecting a depth of understanding that transcended spoken language. Our bond was our strength, and together we dissected the visual enigmas etched in stone, each carving a piece of the puzzle that Centralia laid before us. I pulled out my tattered notebook, scribbling furiously as I cataloged each peculiar glyph. The camera hanging from my neck clicked as I captured the carvings, preserving them against the relentless march of time that sought to reclaim all evidence of its existence. "Patience, my old friend," I said to Rufus, who sat attentively at my side, watching every move I made. His quiet companionship grounded me, offering me solace amidst the consuming shadows. There was comfort in our shared purpose, a unity that fortified my resolve as we delved deeper into the whispers and secrets of this forsaken town. As we stood amidst the rubble, the clanging continued, now intermingled with the rasping wind through the hollow remnants of civilization. We were drawn inexorably forward, the sound of siren's call luring us into the unknown depths of Centralia's heart. The acrid stench of sulfur clawed at my throat, even through the gas mask that clung to my face like a second skin. Breathing was a laborious task, each inhale a struggle against the mask's resistance, each exhale a humid gust, fogging up the visor. I could feel the weight of the polluted air pressing down on me, its toxicity a palatable presence in this ghostly town. Rufus, ever the stoic sentinel, bore his own mask with a dignified tolerance. The filters muffled his panting as he labored beside me, his aging body protesting the exertion. His once sharp senses were dulled by the necessary protection, yet still he remained vigilant, an unwavering companion amidst the creeping dread that settled over Centralia. We advanced, our steps measured and deliberate, over the fractured pavement. Buildings loomed like specters, their broken windows like vacant eyes watching our every move. The persistent clanging from beneath the earth resonated within me, a dissonant heartbeat that quickened my pulse. With each clang, a shudder traveled up my spine, beckoning me deeper into the abyss that lay hidden beneath the smoldering ground. "Steady, Rufus," I whispered, the sound barely audible above the din of our harsh respirations. My hand found his back, a silent reassurance for us both as we navigated the treacherous landscape. A sudden shift in the wind sent a billowing cloud of smoke towards us, obscuring our vision. The world narrowed to the opaque gray before my mask and the sound of my own ragged breathing. Rufus's form was a shadowy outline, his stance alert, as if sensing the unseen threats that might lurk beneath the toxic miasma. We paused, a momentary suspension of time, as I surveyed the desolation around us. There was a beauty in the decay, a haunting reminder of nature's reclaiming power. Yet the danger was all too real, the possibility of the ground giving way beneath us, swallowing us whole into the fiery bowels of the earth. The clanging crescendoed, a metallic symphony that fueled my resolve. With each step I felt the pull of fate, a thread woven through the tapestry of my life, guiding me towards an inevitable encounter with the inexplicable. Power, latent and untapped, seemed to thrum in the stones underfoot, whispering secrets of identity and purpose just beyond my grasp. "Close now," I murmured, more to myself than to Rufus. The clanging was no longer a distant echo, but an omnipresent force, vibrating through the very air we struggled to breathe. The suspense of our approach tightened around me, coiling like a spring ready to unleash whatever horrors lay in wait. "Be ready for anything," I cautioned, though the words seemed superfluous. Rufus and I, bound by shared experiences and unspoken understanding, moved as one entity towards the source of the sound. Two souls cast adrift in a world that had long since turned its backs on the likes of us. In the shadows of Centralia, with its suffocating fumes and eerie silence, punctuated only by that relentless clanging, we pressed on, each clang a step closer to discovery, or perhaps to madness. The clanging, now a hammer against the anvil of my anticipation, led us to a clearing where the ruins whispered secrets of a time before their desolation. Amidst this graveyard of memories I knelt, the aged leather of my journal creaking as it opened. My fingers encased in the protective gear that kept the miasma at bay, trembled with the weight of discovery. "Look here, Rufus." I spoke softly, pointing towards an intricate carving etched into the side of what once must have been the town's proud edifice. The patterns seemed to twist and writhe beneath my gaze, grotesque yet compelling in their alien design. Civilizations lost, but their voices still linger through these symbols. Rufus padded closer, his snout coming to rest beside the cold stone. A soft whine escaped him, the sound muffled by the respirator strapped to his face. It was a lament for the forgotten, a dirge sung in harmony with the unsettling beauty of our surroundings. My camera shutter clicked, capturing the enigma, while my hands scrawled notes with feverish urgency. Each stroke of the pen was an incantation, binding the image to the paper, ensuring that this knowledge would not fade like the city around us had. "Power resides here, old friend," I murmured, touching the surface of the artifact with reverence usually reserved for sacred relics. "A power untamed by men." The coolness of the stone seemed to seep into my bones, a stark contrast to the heat that bubbled beneath the earth's crust. Rufus nuzzled my hand, grounding me to the present, his presence a reminder of companionship in the abyss of solitude. I offered him a rare smile, one that crinkled the corners of my eyes and briefly softened the harsh lines of a life spent chasing shadows. "Whatever truths we unearth," I continued, our dialogue a lifeline in the oppressive silence, "they will be met with the courage you've taught me." His ears perked up at my words, a silent vow exchanged between man and beast. We moved on from the carvings, the stillness of the air around us a canvas upon which the clanging painted strokes of dread. Each clang, a heartbeat, each pause, a breath held in apprehension, and with each step I documented, photographed, and preserved the remnants of a history slipping through the fingers of the world above. I trudged forward, the weight of Centralia's enigma pressing down upon me like the toxic smoke that curled around us. Rufus's labored breathing through his mask was a steady rhythm in an otherwise silent desolation. We moved with a purpose, yet our progress was measured, deliberate, as if each step were an invocation of caution. "Steady, Rufus," I whispered into the stifling air as an inexplicable flicker of light caught my eye. It danced amongst the ruins, teasing the edge of vision before vanishing as though it were a specter fleeing in the dawn. Rufus halted, his head tilted inquisitively, ears pricked towards the ephemeral glow. "Did you see it too?" My voice was barely audible against the backdrop of the eerie quietude. No response came from the shadows. Only the soft shuffle of Rufus adjusting his stance on the cracked pavement offered solace. An unsettling chill crept across my skin, a stark contrast to the sulphurous warmth that rose from the fissures in the ground. The whispers began then, a sibilant chorus carried on the wind, voices speaking in tongues that belonged neither to the living nor the dead. They swirled around us, their cadence both alluring and menacing. Words of warning, or a welcome? I pondered aloud, trying to quell the shiver that threatened to unman me. Rufus let out a low growl, his body tense, every muscle coiled like a spring. His reaction was a reflection of my own unease. There was an intelligence to these sounds that unnerved even my steadfast companion. We proceeded, the whispers fading into silence, leaving behind only the echo of their mystery. Each step was placed with precision, as if the very earth beneath our feet might betray us. I marked our path in my journal, the cartographer's lines mingling with hastily scribbled notes of phenomena too bizarre for reason to grasp. "Vigilance is our ally," I reminded Rufus, and perhaps myself more so. The dog gave a soft huff, the exhalation visible against his mask, a ghostly affirmation. Our pace never quickened. Urgency was a luxury we could not afford amidst such strangeness. And so we continued, forging ahead into the labyrinthine heart of Centralia, where the unseen clanging beckoned us ever deeper. Each clang was a call to uncover what should perhaps remain hidden. Each pause a reminder of the precarious threshold upon which we stood. "Every answer we seek," I said to the silence, "lies cloaked in riddle and shadow." The oppressive atmosphere of Centralia seemed to absorb my words, and for a moment I fancied I heard the town itself whispering back. but the illusion shattered as quickly as it formed, leaving only the solemnity of our quest, and the certainty that whatever awaited us in the bowels of this forsaken place, it would not suffer the curious lightly. The clangs, once distant and ethereal, now pulsated through the crumbling structures of Centralia, with a rhythm that seemed to resonate with my own heartbeat. Rufus, his gait unsteady but determined, pressed on beside me, his ears perked to every reverberation that sliced through the sulphurous haze. "Close now," I murmured, my voice muffled behind the gas mask, the words more for my own reassurance than for Rufus's understanding. The old dog's eyes met mine, a reflection of shared anticipation, glazing over his age-dulled irises. Trepidation laced the edges of our advance, each step a deliberate defiance against the unseen forces at play within this desolate town. My fingers traced the outlines of the strange carvings on the weathered walls we passed, etchings that seemed to squirm under my touch, eluding comprehension. "Patience," I commanded myself as much as Rufus, the scent of decay and sulphur threatening to overwhelm the filters of our masks. It was as if the very air we breathed was conspiring to keep us from the truth lying in wait beneath the surface. We navigated the treacherous terrain, sidestepping sinkholes that whispered of voids unfathomable. The clanging grew more insistent, more demanding, as if aware of its audience. A metallic taste lingered on my tongue, an unwelcome guest that heralded our proximity to the enigma's core. "Nearly there," I spoke into the void, my voice barely above a whisper, yet it boomed in my ears over the cacophony of clanging. Rufus's steady presence at my side bolstered my resolve, his loyalty a beacon guiding me when doubt clouded my senses. The echo of our footsteps became a chorus with the clanging, a symphony of suspense that crescendoed with each yard gained, and then, amidst the mechanical din, a silence fell, a pause that hung heavy with intent. Rufus halted, his gaze locked onto a crevice from which the sounds had emanated. A cold draught seeped from the opening, carrying with it an aroma of damp earth and something else, something ancient and unimaginable. It was an invitation and a warning, all entwined within the ghostly breath of Centralia. "Rufus," I said, my hand resting on his back, feeling the rise and fall of his labored breathing. "Whatever secrets lie beyond, we face them together." We stood at the threshold, the darkness before us an abyss that promised knowledge and threatened oblivion. My heart throbbed in my chest, a drumbeat urging us forward into the unknown. And then, just as we braced ourselves to plunge into the depths, an otherworldly howl rose from the bowels of the earth, a sound that no creature of flesh and bone could produce, a harbingers of nightmares yet to unfold. "Rufus!" I called out, but my companion was gone, vanished as if swallowed by the shadows themselves. Panic surged, a primal tide that gripped my soul with icy fingers. "Rufus!" My cry echoed, unanswered, into the gaping maw of Centralia. And so, with my hand stretched into the void, reaching for my loyal friend, grasping at the thin air, the clanging resumed its cryptic call, luring me into the heart of horror that awaited. And that concludes Chapter 1 of The Depths of Centralia.